Hello.
Hey, back again to talk Stranger Things
Mhm.
today. All right, today we're going to get into our reactions from the first four episodes of Stranger Things season five. We have a couple of things we like to hit on.
Mhm.
We're just going to dive right in. So, we want to start with what stood out to us. So,
Yeah, you want me to go first?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Maybe this isn't so surprising, but Mike and Lucas and the way they were portrayed really stood out to me. They were, if you have seen our last video, everything we basically said about Mike was true. I'm seeing a lot of Mike love, which we predicted. And I'm not gonna be petty about it, and so that's fine. He's showing up great. Lucas, amazing, love all of that. I think Elle having more like confidence and self-assuredness. I think like some of the characters' sense of security in their relationships and in themselves is really sticking out to me. Really enjoying like Elle talking more. I think that's like a good progress of like her trauma healing and things like that.
Agreed. Yeah. Hmm.
So I'm really enjoying that. But mostly the thing that really stuck out to me was just the message of the show, which has always been, I think, the message of the show, but it feels like this time they're really like want everyone to understand. I think just like after Vecna gives his speech about how I'm gonna paraphrase, but kids are stupid and they're weak and they deserve no rights. Um,
Yeah.
I was having like a really visceral reaction because I think the opposite of kids, and maybe that's because we're in the mental health field or whatever, but
Hmm.
um I was like, no, I think kids are like some of the strongest people on earth and they're so resilient and they're actually so brave and strong. Um and I think the show is really showing that by the end of this volume that I guess it's just like emphasizing the message it's always had, which is like it's the kids that are the brave ones. It's the kids that are protecting each other. A lot of the adults are failing the kids. And I think Finn in a few interviews now has talked about how when Mike is leading the kids in that like one take scene, the big action scene, it's really I really loved how Mike came off in that scene and Lucas too in the moments they cut to him.
Yeah.
And Finn was saying how really the way he approached it was that it's like Mike protecting his younger self. And that like I love inner child stuff and I was like, no, really, because like they didn't have the adults there with them when they were, being hit with all this trauma. Like yes, Hopper and Joyce were there, but so many times they were separated.
Hmm.
So I think it's just a beautiful message to put out there that like kids are actually really like powerful and really important because I think back to our Mike video,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people hate kids. And I think society as a whole like doesn't appreciate or understand kids. And I do think there's a lot of kid hate going around. We want them to be mini adults all the time. So we hate them for not being that and for not knowing how to communicate. So yeah, that's what stood out to me was like the wonderful message of that. I really like that.
Yeah, and I clearly talked to her outside of the environment on camera. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, you know what? I think that is like a really good point to point out because I think it can get lost. It is a show that has like fantasy and supernatural themes and things like that. And like they're literally in the middle of a battle. So I think, yeah, sometimes maybe the essence of a show can like become kind of lost in your mind because
Mm.
you're in the thick of things. So I think, yeah, like to hear Vecna's words and immediately connected to the essence of the show. I thought it was cool if you shared that with people. Yeah, my Mike and Lucas definitely stood out.
As they always do.
They're standouts. So yes, I agree there. And Karen stood out to me. So I just had fun with that. Mrs. Wheeler was in full Mrs. Wheeler mode. Okay, her life is still sad to me,
Very
but
sad.
but I was digging everything from the moment she grabbed that glass, that wine glass, and she was arguing with Ted downstairs. And I was like, something about her getting into these drinks brought out just like a little ethnic energy came out of her because when she was talking to her, she was like, "Do you even know your daughter?" And she did a little dip. I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, Karen's deep in that glass, y'all." So for me, it was just fun. And then to see her like show up like fully for her daughter, she didn't know what this thing was. No, I just think like the ability to put your yourself on the line for someone else in
Yeah.
general is just a beautiful thing. But like to see that from a mother child and her be like, Holly run, I'm gonna do this. Keep in mind, y'all, she's still buzzed. So
Yeah,
like
like very.
I mean,
Like
I'm sure she
very.
sobered up because who can't sober up from that? But
Yeah.
still, I'm like, that wasn't her best,
Yeah.
moment. And she went hard and it was really tough to see her in that moment. I didn't know if she was gonna die like
Yeah.
that. That really stood out. Ted actually caring about his family stood out to me.
I think what stood out was like the Wheelers are brave. Even
Yes.
Ted, like he didn't even freeze. He went right for it. And I was like,
Yeah.
as much as I think you're a horrible father, like you guys are like a brave clan. I'll say
Yes.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say that that fierceness is mostly
From Karen.
yes, but maybe dad, maybe that's what she saw in him that she thought she could make something out of,
Sure.
and it just wasn't as big of a flame in him that she was
Sure.
thinking. But yeah, that really stood out. And then I agree with you. The other things that stood out, I won't say smaller things, but additional things that stood out was, character development and stuff like that. I think, some of the stuff with Hopper was cool to see, and his progression as a father was kind of cool to see. Like you said, seeing Elle just be more, I don't know, like coming into her own, which
Mm,
is what you're supposed to do as a teen, was cool as well.
yeah.
So those are definitely the things that stood out to us. I think the last one that stood out that would be, of course, strange for us not to mention. Of course, it stood out. Will. All right. So Will did in fact stand out. I think we both talked about we kind of knew something was gonna happen with Will. Why would it not?
Let's clarify. Will in the last episode stood out.
Yes. No. I'm gonna re-clarify, and you can correct me if it's not a joint feeling.
Yeah.
Will stood out, and I'll tell you why. Will stood out in the sense that I already knew that they were gonna try to like
Do something like
uplift him and like give him
yeah.
highlight him in a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was gonna be a little bit forced, or that like it would only be the powers that stood out
It
to
would take
me.
away from the characters that we
Yeah, I
love.
wasn't sure if they
Yeah.
would like do enough for me to like really feel how I felt. And I was actually pleasantly surprised throughout the 4 episodes. Now, of course, it all, reached its peak
Yeah.
at the end of episode 4. But for me personally, I found Will very bearable. Throughout all the episodes, I thought they did a really good job showing him be like connected to other humans, like he was being a friend in some. They actually even had him lead a plan. He was like drawing and
I
doing
think
stuff
it
like
just felt
that.
good to see him finally not see himself as the victim
Yeah, I just
and
yeah.
to do something. I think for me, yeah, when I just wanted to be clear that we're using the word bearable, right? It's not he's still the lowest on the list basically. I just want to clarify that this is not I'm not like suddenly coming in here and be like he has my favorite arc. No, he doesn't. And I still don't really care all that much. But for such a pivotal season, it felt really nice to have this character that they keep telling me is important actually act like he's important. And actually, like him standing up to Joyce and then doing the aftercare of that conversation with Joyce, I think were moments that stood out to me. Um,
And it's interesting to me, that, I don't know, maybe they forgot about Will. I don't know. But y'all had seasons to like make him seem like more of a normal person. And
yeah.
that's what stood out to me. Like like you mentioned, he is not flying up my list of like favorite characters, but I was actually really
Pleasantly
proud
surprised.
and presently surprised of the writers and the director's
Yeah.
ability to make him a part of things without it standing out. Because usually I ain't gonna lie, a lot of times when Will comes on to the screen, it takes me out of things. But I was actually able to like really stay in there. And then it ended with him, having a pretty badass moment. The
Mhm.
eyes, everything, him taking, him saving all his friends, and yeah, I give it to Will.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have much to add. He still sometimes takes me out of scenes, and I've talked to you about it. Um, but I think my feelings about the actor aside, I'm not a fan. We're yeah. Um, I'll just judge his acting as I always have. I think he's really good at like really highly emotional scenes, like when he needs to convulse his body and stuff. And that's hard work, like that gets you really exhausted. So I will say
Mhm.
he's really good at that. But still, like for me, sometimes Will takes me out in the like really normal day-to-day conversations where I feel like the other actor is carrying the scene more and he sometimes pulls me out with his line delivery. So I still had a little bit of that, which does then make me obviously like feels a certain way about the character. He's not like enjoyable for me to watch. But I think this is the best season he's had, and I did notice a difference. So yes, definitely more bearable. I'm excited to see where his story goes because now he's more connected to everybody else instead of just like isolating.
All right.
Um, so yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of excited to see what happens, we're gonna do a little rapid fire hope, you know,
Not
scenario.
prepared for
So,
this.
we both didn't prepare, but I thought it could be cool. We talked about what stood out. I think we're waiting to do a lot of analysis for when the season's over. We can
Yeah,
kind of, I mean, there's a possibility maybe we talk a little bit about
the
the
first one.
episodes that are delivered on Christmas, but for the most part, we're looking to, see what happens when the season's all done, when all these character arcs are complete. We get our final answers. So we're obviously holding back today. This is a short video, but I wanted to do a couple of rapid fire hopes for our main little kids. I'm thinking 10 seconds each character. And you have one sentence. That's it. You tell me your hopes for these
It's gonna be the
characters.
same thing. I just hope they're happy.
Yes. So, all right. I'm
Does
gonna
it have to
start.
be like
You can't
a
say the
sentence
exact.
that makes sense, or can I be like, can I just
It can
throw
be a word.
words?
It can be a word or sentence. It can't be the same one.
But can it be like happy, proud? Like that's my sentence. Instead
Yeah, if
of
that's
being
your
like,
hope.
I hope he is happy and proud, I could just say like words.
Yeah, or you can use full sentence. You can do L.
Okay.
You can do L, although you haven't experienced heart trauma. You can do L.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Hold on. I need a. Okay, just go.
All right. So Mike.
I hope he's happy and surrounded by all the people that he loves and at peace and goes to therapy.
Good. 7 seconds.
You go.
Nice.
You do, Mike.
All right, Mike. I hope he gets to be with L, without being in danger. I hope we get to see like a healthy, not life-threatening, we're taken apart from each other like life. All right, Lucas.
Oh, wait, can you restart that? Because that took me a second. I didn't know we were jumping. Okay.
All
Okay,
right,
go.
Lucas.
Um, I hope he's with Max and she is well and he is happy and he's with Mike and his best friend.
Good. All right. I guess we'll switch again. Lucas. Okay, same thing. Hope he's with Max. I hope he is in full popcorn going to Enzo's after feel. So that's my Lucas. All right. Let's see. L.
I hope Elle is free of the government, just liberated. I just want liberation for her and her best friends and Mike and Hopper, and I want her to have everything. She deserves happiness. Yeah.
Okay, that's a hard one. All right. L. I hope L kills Vecna. And she gets to really build her relationship with Max.
Mm. We're kind of saying the same things. We're like best friends, but he's just, yeah.
Okay, Max.
Girl is alive. Girl is happy. She's safe. She's with her besties. And I hope her and Mike get to have a lot of banter.
Yes, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Max. So hold on, I have to be fair. All right. Max. Okay, I hope Max is returned in an original condition that I got her in. I want her to be able to walk and see the movie that I was promised
With Lucas,
with
yeah.
Lucas. Okay. Uh all right. Let's see. Will.
Oh, I hope that Will starts feeling more empowered. And actually, what I hope is that he realizes his other friends are just as important as Mike and that he deepens his bonds with Lucas and Dustin.
Nice. Will. I hope that also that Will feels empowered. I hope that through his discovery of his sexuality, he realized like that life is bigger than just Mike and he can find like other people to be attracted to.
And leave Mike alone. Yeah.
Um, okay, I think oh wait, no, Dustin. All right. Dustin.
I hope Dustin learns to sit with his emotions a little bit more. He's very logical, and I feel like that's great, but also sometimes hurts him. And I think he needs to be more vulnerable with the people around him and deepen his bonds with his friends instead of just Steve.
Nice.
It's kind of long, but Yeah.
Okay, Dustin. I hope Dustin begins to heal from his his wounds with Eddie. And like you said, that he gets to be vulnerable and form like deeper connections. Yeah, that's what I got for Dustin.
We just have all the same stuff, just different wording.
That's all I have for
Mine is
Dustin.
just friend. I hope they're best friends. I hope they stay with one.
I mean, if we have the same answers, we didn't like this was
Yeah.
spur of the moment. We didn't
You
talk
know,
about it in advance. So,
what I
but yeah,
really
those are
want
my
is
hopes.
I want hopefully it was foreshadowing, the speech that Mike gave Elle, where he was like, three waterfalls and like we move away. I want that for them, but I want them to all do it together. Like if this is some Toy Story ass type of ending where it's like, and now we separate, I'm gonna be really unhappy. I don't care if they're codependent. I need all of them to stay together. I don't know how I feel if they like move out of Hawkins. There's a part of me that would want them to, and then there's a part of me that thinks that's really sad, but that's also life. So
Yeah, I think if I have to prioritize, your home can be people as well. It doesn't have
yeah,
to be like physical. So like I want them to stay with
people.
their people and then they can always find like a new place to
Yeah.
put that. But I think that does bring us to predictions slash hopes for the next part of the season. So it can either be the next drop or it can be the full season.
I do have one.
So yeah, go ahead.
I've been saying this for a long time. This is genuinely a hope. When they do the eplog and hopefully we get to see them happy and maybe there's a montage, I need a Mike L. Lucas Max double date.
Ah, yes.
I've been like, there's no way that they can't have that. Like they're just like my core four. That's my core four. I know the core four has different meanings for different people.
No, yeah. I guess before you move on to another one, I have one that's similar to that.
Mm.
And I actually forgot that you did say that. The other night, I just had a vision of everyone at Enzo. Enzo's. I really want Hopper and Joyce at one table.
Yeah,
I want Max and Lucas at a joint table with
yeah.
with Elle. Maybe they can be in a booth.
That's what I was seeing.
Yeah,
Booth.
in a
And then
booth
Mike and
with
Max are just like, and then like,
yeah, like
yeah.
I want to see like this big quadruple double date, whatever the word is, quadruple date after, and I want to know when the scene starts, I want it to be Lucas and Mac walking in talking about the movie that they just saw.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
so
I
pretty.
need to know. Actually, oh yeah, let me not forget, Robin is there because she owes her girlfriend a date at
Yes.
Enzo's. So literally, it's gonna be
Everyone
everyone.
at Enzo.
Everyone's at Enzo's.
I
That's
actually
what I
love
want.
that. That would be really cute. Yeah, I just want everyone happy.
Even if it's on our way out of town.
I'm really okay with no one dying in this show.
I've been very adamant. I'm okay with no one dying.
That's actually when I say I'm okay, that's what I want. I want no one to die in this show. I am okay with that. And the people that are not okay with that, sit with yourself. Why do you want to see joy be taken away from these people that have been traumatized for 5 seasons?
Yeah. Every time
Um,
I try to put myself in a position of like, oh, this person could die, it just ends up with like they've already been through so much,
yeah.
you know? So, but yeah, any other like that's kind of a hope. I don't know if it'll happen, but that's my hope.
I don't.
Prediction?
So this is my hope slash prediction. There's a part of me that thinks that they won't do this because the fandom actually cares about. There is a part of the fandom that really cares about Nancy and Jonathan.
Mm.
But I truly hope and predict that Nancy doesn't end up with any of them.
Yes, that is my hope.
I do think Nancy, what I want for Nancy is to like have a life outside of this town and really explore who who she is outside of her trauma bond with Jonathan. I'm not trying to come for the people that like, really like that ship. I totally, respect it, but it is completely just based off of a trauma bond, so much so that they themselves call it that in the
Hmm.
show. I don't think there's anything but a trauma bond in that relationship. Um so I want that for her. I just want her to like be free of. I love Steve, but it's like I want her to be free from both of them. And my hope for Steve is that he gains a hope and prediction is that he gets to a place where he's like he's so self-deprecating sometimes and it really hurts me because he's so great and he's so beloved. And I would love for him to just like gain self-confidence. I think so much of his story has been like, I need to find myself romantically in another person. And that's why Robin was such a good addition to teach him that, like, maybe what you need is a friend, dude. And so I also never want like Robin and Steve to be separated. I want them, like, I would love a little, like, spin off, like, a joking spin off of them, like, always having jobs together.
Mm.
Or starting a business together, like in I
Mm.
don't know in what, but I think Robin is his person. So And
She
Dustin
doesn't mean
himself
that
also.
romantically, by the way.
No, no. I
No,
just mean
yeah.
like
I think it would be kind of cool too to show like I still want my Enzo scene, but I think it'd be cool if they did it in a way in which it's okay. Like you don't like relationships are not the only as much as I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see these relationships. That's not your only form of happiness.
yeah.
So I just yeah, I think it's cool if they show him just doing something else. It's okay for Steve to be still figuring out what he wants to do. This
Yeah,
is
he's
like
so
totally
young.
developmentally appropriate for him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be through Nancy. But yeah, I don't know if that's it for you or if you have
There's a theory out there that I
Mhm.
thought was really interesting, and we don't have to talk about it a lot, but I don't know, I kind of liked it so much that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna say this as my prediction
Mhm.
that like Will the Mind Flayer is Will in the future, like what Will can turn into if
Mhm.
he because now he's tapping into Vecna's power, and so like we know time travel is some part of this story. So I really like that, they say the theory that the Mind Flayer is such a representation of like not just puberty, but like all the outsiders and all the hate that they get, and like and it's just like this hate that's gotten really big. But or this like self-criticism, whatever you want to call it, anxiety. But I really like the idea that like if you flash forward to like another dimension or like whatever, go really ahead in time, Will gets so because we don't know how he's going to be impacted by Vecna's powers, and we
Yeah.
don't know if he what does it feel like for someone who's been victimized for so long to come into that type of, although it's like, only when he's in the hive mind he can tap into it. I don't know, I really like the fear of like what if that's why the mind flayer like felt connected to him and wanted him to be chosen, is because he's like, oh, you're me when
Mm.
and like, we've seen those stories before. We're seeing it with Vecna right now where someone starts out human but then they become
Yes, for sure.
like inhuman basically. I don't know, that theory was kind of really cool. So the only
Mhm.
way he can get rid of it is to like sacrifice himself,
Mhm.
which we don't want pain for Joyce, but I'm just saying it was like a cool theory. I have no idea what they're gonna do. All my
Yeah.
predictions happened in the first four, so
Yes.
I'm kind of
Mhm.
left really excited and unaware of what's coming.
Yeah, I'm okay along for the ride. I'm not sure how I would feel about that particular theory. But I guess it's all how it's executed. Um,
Definitely.
it wouldn't, yeah, it wouldn't make me upset or anything. But that's all we have for today. Those are our predictions and our little random thoughts. So I guess we'll see what happens next.
Yes.
All right.
Goodbye. Until next time.